And hey there, hi there, ho there, and a gracious good Saturday morning to you. Welcome to Thunder Day in Louisville, Kentucky, where masses of people will line both sides of the Ohio River with the anticipation of seeing a great fireworks show and also hearing some great music and generally going out and not using sunscreen and feeling horrible on Tuesday or Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday and Friday because the sun is out. It's a beautiful day here in Louisville, Kentucky. And if you're going to be down on the river for 10 plus hours, a little sunblock might help. Okay. Just saying. But got a fun show lined up for you today. We have three of us on board today. Actually, only I think two right now. I don't know if Case has joined in yet or not. He'll be here eventually, though. Me and Jeff as well. Jared is out at Louisville Lacrosse today. It is their senior day at Cardinal Stadium, so he's down there taking pictures of that. And I think he's probably going to go to the pregame ceremonies as well, where they honor the seniors. Daryl out on family stuff today, so we're back to the old days, Jeff McAdams, of the basement on a hill when we were doing our broadcast at WCHQ.
Yeah, a little bit of that. We didn't have to close windows because there were weed eaters right outside when we were in the basement. Just I'm dealing with right now. I just managed to get my office windows closed right as they were going by.
That was usually a situation over there where the lady who rented the upstairs, I guess what you call it, of the duplex, where
Yeah,
the radio station was always up there banging something around. So
pots and pans and various
yeah,
things.
we
Yeah,
would be in the middle of a broadcast. I think she had a restaurant that she ran out of there for a while
something
too.
like that. Yeah.
I think we even dined there one time with WCHQ. But
Mm-hmm.
we'd be in the middle of it discussing a subject, and all of a sudden, clang, clang, bang, bang.
Ah.
I have finally arrived.
There's Cases. Cases jumped in with us, sir. And so we have a fun show to talk about today. A lot of areas to cover, but as we do, we like to kind of catch up with the guys here. And so, Thunder Day, Case. I know your dad used to be very, very big about getting down there early and getting a good spot on the lawn. Is that still a Hoskins tradition?
It is. I've not been in a few Thunders. I would say a few years, but many people haven't been in a few years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't been in a few Thunders. It's actually weird that it seems like a lot of personal things just end up coming up on Thunder. And such is the case again this year. I won't be making it down there, but I do. Hopefully, a lot of people have learned a lot about video streaming and mixed virtual events. So I'm kind of hoping that WLKY is really pushing the coverage they're going to do this year. I'm hoping that the virtual Thunder experience is better this year than it was, pre-pandemic. Um, I've pushed or complained frequently that it's a fireworks show. It has a center. It has a single point. Just put the camera on it and let me watch. Uh, it seems like every news channel over the past few Thunders has decided, we'll decide which camera angles you want. We will decide when you should be motion sickened by us panning in and out on single fireworks. Like, no, just give me a view of the whole skybox and let me watch.
Or an extreme close up on a person in the crowd looking up, not moving, just
Looking at the
up,
fireworks.
looking at the fireworks.
Yeah,
Oh,
Really?
there's Bill Jones from Southern Indiana watching the fireworks on the Kentucky side. Look at him. He's got a sharp gaze on those. He's not moving. He's also had 14 beers and cannot move.
And they've talked about how they're streaming it on the app and on the website. So I'm wondering if instead of trying to watch it on TV, if maybe they will do kind of that single cam view as an option on the website. But we'll see. I don't have high hopes.
Yeah, it'll be. I always like to watch a little bit of the air show on TV too. That's pretty cool. And when whatever the Air Force brings in this year is kind of neat to kind of see what they're going to fly over the river and shock the people when they come roaring down the river at with 3 million miles an hour.
Yeah, they were screaming through downtown yesterday.
I heard a couple of them. Yeah, I was actually able to hear them all the way out here in the creek. Uh, I guess maybe a part of their flight pattern took them over this area, getting them back to Louisville International Airport. But
down there in the evening, went down there for the local orchestra concert, but they completed all of the practice sessions by then, so didn't get to see any of them down there.
We used to years ago have a warehouse which sat right now where Louisville has their Blinn Family Stadium location now. That warehouse sat right where that was before it got demolished. So we would have a big Thunder get together down there every year for years. And I can remember some pretty neat Thunders and some pretty cold ones too, guys.
Yeah.
We should, if you're going down to enjoy this weather, certainly feel fortunate the first year and 3 years that we've had Thunder. And it's a picture perfect day. It's a Chamber
really
of
is.
Commerce's day, as they like to say. So.
It really is, and I think they're talking about expecting a record crowd down there, 800,000 plus, because it is, it's been a few years, and because it's just such a picture perfect day.
Take your sunscreen.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Take sunscreen.
Take your sunscreen, hydrate. Yeah, that's what you want to do. I think the record they had down there was back in the mid 2007 or 2006 or somewhere around then, when they had 850,000 people down there.
Yeah, and they always, I feel like, have always counted that record on the Kentucky side. I feel like they've never kind of included the Indiana side, and I don't know why. Maybe they just don't know what they're going to consider the whole, box of people, because people line the river for probably miles on either side. But I feel like they've always just counted the waterfront crowd.
I've never watched one from the Indiana side before.
I watched a bunch over there, and it can be a very effective way to do it, and quick way to get out if you do it right. But yeah,
I don't know. The backside of the fireworks just don't look the same to me.
The worst experience I had watching is my family got tickets out on one of the little barges that goes out there, and they give you food and everything, and you drive it. And where they parked the barge in the river was downstream. It was actually almost right in front of the entrance to the canal. And that year that point was directly downwind from the fireworks. So we saw like the first few bursts, and then it was just smoke the whole time.
All you could see from then on was the trail of it going up into the cloud.
Yeah, that was it.
And it was fireworks.
And it was cold and rainy that year. Half of it just went back inside the covered part of the barge and sat down.
I've actually seen it snow on Thunder, so that's kind of a. But enjoy today if you're headed down there, and certainly if you do. I think the key words today are patience.
Yeah,
definitely, and also fight boredom. So.
And when you're leaving, don't try to immediately go the direction you need to go. Just go away from the area, and then redirect. That's the trick.
Well, I think I will this morning. Yeah, a little bit on the radio here is that they're going to send everybody west.
I will reiterate, as I do every year, that the Kentucky Derby Festival and Louisville Metro Planning needs to just call up the Indiana State Troopers, or Indiana State Police, I think is what they call it.
With the Indy 500.
What they do at Indy 500.
Right.
Just copy it. Because what they do there is say goodbye, exit, stage left, go away.
Yeah.
Like, if you live there, you better have walked to the track, because you're not going to drive home. Like, they will get you probably 4, 5, 6 miles away from the track in every direction.
Right.
And won't let you come back. It's not like it's like, oh, now that I've gone away a sufficient amount, let me turn around. They're like, no. You can keep going in whatever away direction you were, and you can come back later.
Yeah. So that's
what they need to do. Go away.
That's the trick. If you're kind of to the west side of the viewing area and you need to go to the east end where you live, go west, right? Just keep going west.
You'll find the Snyder.
Hit Watterson or Snyder, and then go around at that point. It will end up being faster. I've done this multiple years, and it does. So just don't try to fight your way through to the direction you want to go. Just get away.
It sounds like our guys here, ladies and gentlemen, they have it pretty well mapped out. So if you have any questions about leaving Thunder, feel free to text either Jeff or Case. No matter what time it is, I'll be standing by to give you directions on how to leave.
But see, that's the problem too. Is not just us. I mean, we could say it till we're blue in the face, tell people to drive away, but it's the traffic planning too.
Yeah.
I mean, they have
that.
you have a grid system. Just make all the grids that are facing away from downtown face away from downtown. Change the roads. They're one way. Just make them one way the other way. Send everybody one direction. But instead, you come to Broadway and Second, and now you have to turn left. But the people that are already coming down Broadway need to stop, and then you have a traffic situation.
Yeah.
It's like, no, Broadway should be closed. Just go
Yeah,
south. Just
close
get
off,
away.
close off the cross streets and just keep people out to UofL area type of distance, and then yeah.
And you're always going to get that one or two cars that are going to buck the trend.
They'll just do what they want. Yeah.
I need to go this way. You can't, sir. It's closed that way. I need to go this way anyway. Who do you think you are, sir? The king of Siam? You cannot go this way. But don't you know who I am? No, I don't, and I don't care. Take a right like everybody else. Anyway, so have fun with it, though. Should be fun.
Yeah.
Always the fireworks are so great, and Zambelli always puts on a good show. I'll be watching from the comfort of my easy chair on television and hoping that, as Case mentioned, WLKY can get it right this year. We'll see. Time of the show where we catch up a little bit with our scheduling and Twitter information. The guys have already kind of filled us in on what is going on with them on Thunder Day and such. So, in case if you want to, let's jump on into what looks like it could be I'm hearing something weird in the background, Phil.
That's me.
That's just traffic.
Oh,
Yeah, that's my lawn mowing people leaving. So it's done now.
At least they're done.
Yeah.
I thought you were getting like an early flyover over there.
That was a truck. They just finished loading up and pulled away. So they're done now.
Let's go ahead and fly over in the McAdams estate
Yeah.
at 11:11 as kind of a preview for everybody in that part of town, right?
I will, however, now reopen my windows now that that's done.
There you go. Now you can get those allergies in there full force.
Yeah.
Yes. Freshly cut grass will help a lot. All right. Case, with a little scheduling and Twitter information, what's going on, pal?
Yeah, still kind of busy as the seasons are wrapping up for many of the spring sports. Obviously, we know baseball and softball go a little bit longer as they head into the summer, but others are coming to a close. Men's golf is one of them. They are at the ACC Championship in Panama City Beach at the Shark's Tooth Country Club course. The women's golf ACC Championships were last week, so they'll await the NCAAs. Track is at the Indiana Invitational in Bloomington. That one is an all-day event, started yesterday. Rowing is hosting the Lake Wheeler Invitational in Raleigh, North Carolina. That event began yesterday. I think they had some pretty good results on that, and that'll continue through today and then wrap up. Men's tennis is at the ACC Men's Tennis Championships in Rome, Georgia. So I guess technically that would make Georgia Tech the host of that one. They got underway with this morning's events at 10 a.m. Lacrosse hosts Notre Dame for Senior Day. That one is in Cardinal Stadium, and it is on ACC Network. Like I mentioned, Senior Day, they will probably begin those Senior Day festivities here shortly. If you are planning on heading down there, as I mentioned in the article today, Gate 2 is your only access point from Cardinal Stadium today. And that is because, one, they don't need nearly as many gates and the manpower to handle that for lacrosse as they would for football, but also because baseball is just across the railroad tracks hosting NC State.
And to clarify, Gate 2 is on the east side.
Yes.
Of the stadium.
Yeah, the Floyd Street.
Right off of Floyd Street, yeah. So.
And I think that's Gate 2 just straight up. I think there's like Gates 2, B, and C as well. And only Gate 2 is the one that you can get access through.
Very, very good.
Baseball hosting NC State, Game 2 of that series. Cards kind of exploded there late in the game against Wolfpack yesterday evening. That game will start at 2 p.m. It's on ACC Network Extra. Men's golf ACC championships continue through Monday, so that's tomorrow's event. And I just realized I overlooked softball there. Softball taking on the third-ranked Hokies out of Virginia Tech. Very tough game yesterday. Nearly forced that one to at least go to the bottom of the seventh. See if they can keep it as close again today or tomorrow, but may have missed a golden opportunity there. Today's game is at 2 p.m. Tomorrow's finale is at noon. And tomorrow's game is on ACC Network, linear channel. Today's on ACC Network Extra. Baseball wraps up their series against NC State at 1 p.m. tomorrow. That one's on ACC Network Extra as well. On Tuesday, the 2022 World Championship Trials will begin in Greensboro, North Carolina. That obviously on Louisville's calendar because many of their swimmers are frequently in contention to make those World Championships out of that trial event. So a number of them will be down there as finals wrap up this week. I think reading day was this week. So finals will wrap up by Tuesday. So they'll all have finished up then. And baseball takes on Western Kentucky at 6 p.m. on ACC Network Extra. That one is in Jim Patterson Stadium. Wednesday and Thursday both empty before baseball brings in Clemson for a weekend series starting at 6 p.m. on Friday. Softball brings in Virginia for their weekend series starting at the same time in Ulmer Stadium. And track hosts the Clarkwood Invitational starting on Friday as well. So a busy final week of April here as Derby is as late as it can be this year with the first coming on a Sunday. So that gets us through the busy week. We didn't even add all the Derby week events or Derby festival events that would happen throughout that week as well. As for Twitter, I tweet as at best case scenario, BST case scenario. Paulie is at Cardinal Couple. Jeff is at Jeff McAdams and at Card Couple Radio. And then our two hosts not with us today, Jared is at Mr. Anderson Jared, who I'm sure will be tweeting about the lacrosse game, including some nice photos today. And Daryl is at Daryl Faust 4, who will be enjoying what many claim the best ticket in the house is with Bats Thunder at Louisville Slugger Field.
Yeah, I've never viewed the event from there, but I have friends who go every year, and they tell me that it's just you can't get a better place to watch the Thunder. So, of course, we have not had it in the last 2 years, so this will be kind of a rebirth and a reborn into that.
I joined friends at Bats game for Thunder one year, and it was very nice. So, so you've got obviously the restrooms at the stadium that are maintained and a limited number of people so they don't get overrun, and it's nice. It was great. It's a good way to
food options.
Food options all day. Yeah.
A seat with a back.
Yep.
Yeah, all that. All right there. You got a bathroom. You got a seat with a back. Yeah. You got food. You got drink. The fireworks. You're basically right on top of them there. It's pretty cool.
If fireworks come, you can walk out onto the waterfront park. It's half a block, and have a great viewing angle.
I noticed yesterday that they have porta potties all the way as far back as on top of the Witherspoon garage.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty. Yeah, that's okay. But I'm sure you get a lot of people parking.
Maybe people go sit up. I mean, people probably go sit up there to watch the fireworks.
I've parked up there before when going down to events at UofL. Due to the nature of the way that garage used to be, have had to park on that top level up there. And yes, that'd be a great point to watch it, I would think. Fantastic. So, whatever your plans are, whether you're just going to be a couch potato like me or whether you're going to go take part in it, certainly have some fun with it. And remember the words hydrate and patience. Okay, just remember those two words. And sunscreen. Let's throw sunscreen in there as the third one too, because
again, we've said it multiple times already, but it's worth repeating.
Make sure that you don't end up crispy. So, a lot of things to get to as far as Louisville athletics go today, and I know we're in the midst of winding up some spring sports, but let's go back to basketball, because we had some basketball news this week for Louisville women's basketball in the form of coaching and also adding players. But let's get into the coaching moves first. The Cards have brought in Shay Robinson to the coaching staff for Louisville women's basketball. Shay was previously an associate coach at Mississippi, where he was there for a couple of years. And then before that, prior was an assistant at Maryland under Brenda Freeze over there. I don't think his path and Wall's path crossed when Walls was in Maryland or not. I think Walls was long gone before he got there. But Wall was certainly familiar with him, and when asked about Shay Williams, he said he comes to us highly recommended. Okay, that's good to know.
Mhm.
He has an extensive and a versatile background, no doubt about that. Everywhere he's been successful. I'm assuming that even when he was 5 years old at his lemonade stand, he was doing great with that as well. Yeah. Most importantly, though, he cares about the growth and the development of the players. And that one sentence right there is one that I just really like on and off the court. Okay. Obviously, a veteran in the Air Force. He was a skilled player development coach and a proven recruiter, and he's a great compliment to our staff. Certainly, Walls, as well as the rest of us, pretty excited to welcome him to the staff here at UofL, guys. He's certainly a coach that I think can come in, and he's a proven recruiter. He can get out there and kind of pick up where Sam Purcell and left off. Your thoughts about the hire, Jeff?
From everything I've seen, I was not familiar with him before the hire, but everything I've been able to see and find out about him, I think it's great. We're also already getting some hints that some players that were wavering are maybe back in the fold on the recruiting side of things. So that's positive immediately. Obviously losing Sam Purcell is tough. He's a great guy. We've loved interacting with him for many years now, but I think this is another case of not rebuilding but reloading. But this time on the coaching side of things, it's a great hire. I'm looking forward to kind of getting to know him a little bit.
And certainly, to echo the words of one said, Sam Purcell, he said, "I'm glad that he's headed to Louisville because I don't want to recruit against him if he was still at Mississippi."
Yeah, it's a win-win. It's a win for Sam as well.
Yeah, double entendre there, but sure. Sam likes the move, and for a couple of reasons. Okay, so this is a guy who's had some success. Angel Reese, he brought into Maryland a couple years ago. Those Maryland teams of I think 14 through 17, 2014 through 17, that were so fantastic. He had a big hand in bringing in the players for that. What can he do for Louisville?
Well, I think you're hoping that he can kind of continue exactly what he's been doing. There's a reason that a lot of the players that were drafted out of Maryland or some of the good players that we've heard of at Mississippi State, correct? It is Ole Miss. Some of the great players that we've heard of recently are because of him. I mean, he's had a hand in, like we said, recruiting those players and being a player developer, and that's what Louisville is going to continue to need. They've established themselves as a top recruiting program in the country in women's basketball, able to be in the mix for some of the best players, and continually have had players get better and better as they go through their careers. Asia Tur and Dana Evans recently were both very good players when they came in, but were even better players when they left. Haley Van Lith, I think, was seen as kind of one that was going to be able to come in and be an absolute rock star for 4 years before advancing her career. And, she got off to a bit of a more rocky start than we expected, but has developed very well through her first 2 years. And I think that a coach like Shay Robinson will be extremely beneficial to her and other players that will continue to improve and need that a little bit of extra development coaching. I think is the right choice there for their careers and to make Louisville continue on what we hope to be an inevitability with a national championship.
Shay being only the third male assistant or associate coach that Jeff Walls has had in his tenure at Louisville. I'm sure you can name one of them for sure, and Sam Purcell, but I'll take you guys back. Who was the first one?
First one, was that the guy that went to Belmont? I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Cam Newbear is the name I'm looking for. Cam Newbear.
Yeah, that's it. He left us, went to Belmont, ended up in Florida, maybe had another stop along the way. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't end too well for him in Florida. But
Unfortunately, no.
yeah, unfortunately so. But then, Florida's just had a trouble with coaches for years. Amanda Butler got in all kinds of trouble down there before she got excused, but she's resurfaced at Clemson. We'll see what happens with that. But I think Shay's the kind of guy who can come in and add some instant credibility out on the recruiting trail because he knows the game. He's been doing it for years. He knows how to get into the households, and it doesn't hurt to have that Louisville name sitting on your shoulder when you call up a potential high school, junior or senior, and say, "Hey, hi, I'm Shay Robinson with Louisville. I'd like to come talk to you. I'm going to come watch you practice. Do you have any interest in us? I think you do, don't you?" Because kids will put that out there early.
Yeah, at this point, that is clearly a strong draw that would not have been there previously. Louisville has good academics, right? But it's a state school. It's not like this standout academic school to provide that sort of draw that you can get at places like Duke or Notre Dame or whatever, where the academic draw is high. But when you can go and say, hey, so far every player that has played for Jeff Walsh for 4 years has gone to a Final Four. Let's continue that tradition. That's a draw on the athletic side of things. That's pretty impressive.
That's a pretty strong opening statement there. And so, Casey, who's he joined up with here? Obviously, we have the holdover since Walls basically, has taken over the program. Steph Norman has been Jeff's right-hand person ever since the get-go. Has done a lot of stuff there. She's not headed anywhere anytime soon that we know of. So she'll be on that staff. And also Janisha Pineda, who, as we found out, got a promotion. How about that? She is no longer assistant coach. She is an associate coach.
Yeah, and that was interesting. I mean, congratulations to her first off, but I thought that usually you only have one associate head coach, and I had wholly thought that was Steph Norman.
I think Steph Norman is associate head coach.
Okay. Janisha Pineda is only associate coach.
I think that's how
I misread the headline then.
Distinguishing that, yeah.
Yes, that's what it looks like here on the headline. So, an interesting promotion. I mean, it's not in name only. I have to assume that there's going to be obviously some contractual changes there and some responsibility additions as well. It makes, I think, all of the coaches that are on staff now associate coaches.
Yes.
Because Shay was brought on as an associate coach.
Yeah.
So there may just be some name changing there, so that you don't have one assistant and a bunch of associates. But it is what it is. I think that it's going to be really helpful for everyone to continue to feel valued in this coaching staff, and for the players to see that the people that they depend on so much. We talk about Coach Wall's relationship with the players every season, and it comes up as a story all the time. But I would guess that every player who has the same positional coach for 4 years spends more time with that coach than they do with Walls anyway. So the relationships that they have are immense, and being able to keep your coaching staff turnover low and reward coaches who put in the effort and help improve the team. It goes back to just as much the performance that Louisville has seen helping in recruiting, having these relationships and having the stability and the understanding by players that their coaches are going to be with them, and the people that are recruiting them are going to still be there, I think is just as critical.
One of the things that Coach JP has done since she arrived at Louisville in 2019, and she was out of Georgia Tech before she got here, is she works with the guards primarily, being an ex-guard herself at Georgia Southwestern College. She knows the guard position quite well, and just take a look at some of these names that she's worked with in the growth and development on Asia Dewar, Dana Evans, Haley Van Lith, Kiana Smith. I think even Jazz Jones could credit her for teaching her some things that has helped Jazz become successful in the WNBA as well. So Coach JP is certainly one of those that goes in there, and she has a very simple philosophy, guys. She's fond of saying, "Work is work," and lives by that phrase. If you're working, you're getting the work in. I'm happy with you. Continue to work, but work is work. If you're not working, you need to start working if you're going to do anything.
Yeah, and she's not afraid to show the joy and the joy and excitement, as we talk about in our mission statement. She's not afraid to show that in support of her players, and that becomes a very balanced message and a very healthy one. I think you come in, you do the work, and then we're going to celebrate when that work results in success. So.
And so good when they had selection Monday the other night, a couple months back, when Louisville found out where they were going in the NCAA tournament. I got a chance to sit down and talk with her. Did a nice interview with her, and then had a nice chat with her after the interview as well about some things. And then, like she told me, she said, Casa Robinson came up to me and said, "Coach, whenever I get out of here, would you come and work with me just on the job? Because you've taught me so much in the game of life and the game of basketball. If I end up in accounting or something somewhere, would you come to work with me so I could still see you each day and you could help me through stuff?"
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then the players love her.
Yeah.
She's a hands-on coach. She's fired up. She's got a little bit of spunk to her as well. She's gotten on me before about some things I've written, but in a teasing nature. And I told her, I said, if you've got complaints, there's a guy right there in that building you need to go talk to. And no, it's not Wallace. Go down and tell Scott Teeter. Because once you throw some complaints at him, he's going to throw so many back at you, you're going to think you're a drop in an ocean, okay? So she got a big laugh out of that. But so, yeah, congratulations to JP. Certainly deserving of the honor, I think, guys. And she's got some young'uns now coming in here to work with as well. She's got some the recruiting trail has been heating up for the Cards as Louisville has brought Crystalline Carr into the fold along with as we mentioned. I don't know if we covered how much last week or not. Morgan Jones coming in from Florida State. Crystalline Carr joins the Cards from Syracuse. She'll have a year of eligibility back with us, and at 5'5", Jeff, we have to make a decision: attack Yorkie or no.
Well, we got to see her play, right? We finally have one that's eligible. Again, it's been a few years. We talked about a little bit about raising that limit to 5'7" to pick up a few in there, but we never have done officially. So, but and now we've got one again that we will have to evaluate her defensive prowess and see if she really qualifies on that front. So I suspect there's a good chance she will be.
A very good attack Yorkie indeed. And I think we'd have to, before we officially bestow the title on her, though, as attack Yorkie, we're going to have to ask Jess Lemley what she thinks about it.
Yeah. I mean,
and if we could find Shelby Harper, who was the original attack Yorkie, we could ask her as well. But yeah, 5'5", one of the Carr sisters, Case, out of Syracuse, who have both decided to leave the program, and not sure where Christiana is headed yet. I don't know if she's in the offing for us or not. Don't really know, but Crystalline is a point guard who can definitely move the ball.
Yeah, and it's interesting to have sisters who would elect to go to the same program to begin with, and then both elect to leave that program at the same time. And I would have to guess not continue their careers at the same program. We talked a bit about our in our text group when this news was announced about the scholarship situation that Louisville has currently over the limit, so they're going to have to sort something out there. And trying to bring another player on in that time would be interesting. But I also would guess that they would have announced at the same time if they were going to the same place. So I think that it is an important grab for Louisville. Chelsea Hall came in. She served a very important role for the Cards. And then that gap is created once more. Eventually, you're going to hope that Louisville can develop a true point again for some consistent, or from recruiting for some consistency at the position instead of trying to cycle what is by many considered one of the most important positions on the court, often called the quarterback of the basketball team, even though there are far fewer players out there. But consistency is important, and especially with trying to understand the way that your different scorers want to play and how you want to manage that, um, your game state and your play style and all that stuff. But I think that in the interim, until Louisville has what they can consider to be a standout true point guard coming in recruiting, then grabbing them from the transfer portal is just as critical.
And one of the things you have to consider and remember about Carr is that she originally started her career at Texas Tech, but she came in and was the Big 12 Freshman of the Year in 2019 and was in the running for National Freshman of the Year. Okay. Uh, Also, she is an incredible ball handler. She's a scorer. She was second on the team last year at Syracuse in scoring at 14.2 points a game. She had double figures in 22 of their 29 games. She started all 29 games for them, shooting 44% from the field. That's not bad. And 37% from 3-point range, both number one on the Syracuse squad. So, well, I think of the tradition, and let's put it right out there. She's joining a very, very crowded guard pool at Louisville. When we name off some of the others that are on campus right now, Mikasa Robinson, obviously Haley Van Lith. You've got Alana Smith, Peyton Verhulst, Narika Kono, Marissa Russell. You've got coming in Ziana Walker and Jalen Brown, both two very, very highly coveted guards that'll be landing on campus. It's almost as crowded as the Kentucky Derby field, Jeff.
Yeah, plus you got Morgan Jones coming in there. Is another transfer. I mean, there's a lot of contention. There's a lot of competition for these spots. It's going to be interesting. I do find it a little odd to say, in the guard role, you have this, 5'5" Crystal Carr and 6'2" Morgan Jones, and they're competing for a guard spot. I suspect they're competing for different guard spots, but still they're both listed as guards, so it's something we have to think about. It's a little crazy to think about just how intense this is getting, this competition on the team.
And if you do look at, if you do the way too early projection for 22-23 Louisville basketball, and I don't even know why I'm going down this path, but I think when you look at what's returning, I think you're virtually safe in saying that Van Lith and Olivia Cochran will be starters. Okay. I think that's pretty much a given unless something dramatic happens in either one of those cases. After that,
Yeah,
there's three spots open there, kids, and a
lots
host
of
of
question
candidates.
marks.
Yeah, a host of candidates who want those spots. Everybody seems to think that Peyton Verhulst is going to step up and have a big year and kind of claim her wing spot out there, perhaps. And if she does that, certainly more power to her. I think that I'll tell you one that I really love a lot is Alexia Mobley, who was with the team all year on a redshirt basis, but certainly learned so much just being there, at being around the team and watching what they go through pre-game, post-game, practices, travel, everything else. And, Case, she's got some pretty decent skills on her own, too.
Definitely, and we've talked about this, a little bit before. I'm curious to know what route Coach Walls will want to go as far as play style. We've seen kind of a more traditional 3-guard forward and center kind of lineup frequently. We've gone 4-guard, we've gone small ball, and then run into the tournament and like I've mentioned a couple of years in a row, have run into length issues. So with a lot of availability and a lot of height on what should be next year's roster, it will be interesting to see if we do have kind of a philosophy shift in the type of lineup Coach Walls wants to run.
The mad scientist, I'm sure, is even now busy at work when he's not throwing softballs at unsuspecting people or baseballs.
Baseballs, yeah.
Yeah, baseballs at unsuspecting
I
people.
don't think the catcher behind the plate is unsuspecting, but
You would hope not.
yeah,
Well, see, as I mentioned in the article, what happened after that is he invited Jared to step in against him and try and hit one. He threw Jared a brushback pitch and nearly knocked him down.
yeah.
Jared limped back to the dugout. Darryl got up and took him fence-yard wall, hit him for a home run, and then went around the bases and had the L's down as she crossed the second
Yeah.
base.
So if it wasn't clear that this is satire, yeah.
Yeah,
that one.
Some people were like, we never knew Darryl was that good a softball player.
Hey, Casa one-upped him, though. She got the pro first pitch throw out,
Sure.
Yeah.
They were down at the bats doing that thing, that's
Yeah.
for sure. And some nice photos from Jared on that down there as well. But and this may be one, unless something dramatically develops over the summer months or in the next couple of weeks or so, we won't be talking a whole lot of basketball down the road. So certainly it's good to know as we kind of close that chapter in basketball a little bit.
Yeah, if we get more news of transfers or whatever, then I'm sure we'll pop those in. But we start to get a bit scarce on basketball news to talk about this time of year. So
it's kind of the way it is. It's like the squirrels that cover the ground below my bird feeder. They take what's falling out. If that gets slim down there, they endeavor to find ways to climb up the pole to the bird feeder and go ahead and get it straight from the source. Yes. We'll move it on over. We've got some good sports going on today as far as the spring things go. Certainly one of the ones that's taking place on campus today out at the football field. Our own Cardinal Stadium out there where the lacrosse team has moved down the street a little bit, not playing at Louisville Lacrosse Stadium, but in Cardinal Stadium for their senior day, hosting Notre Dame at noon today, coming in a game which I think is pretty crucial case for Louisville lacrosse this season.
Yeah, and we talked about it not last week because I was out last week, but the last time I was on, what work Louisville needed to do, both in lacrosse and softball, to try and make a run at an NCAA tournament in both sports. Unfortunately, lacrosse wasn't able to kind of respond to the way that we hoped in those games with what was a tough loss against Pittsburgh in a match you expected to at least be close, and then wasn't at all. But it would be nice for Louisville to do what they still haven't done and defeat a second ACC team. Since Scott Teeter has come on, they've beaten Virginia Tech a couple of times, but those are still the only ACC wins they have. And also, when you're hosting a senior day for some of the most prolific seniors in the program, the Blaylock sisters tied for the most game appearances all time in program history. One has been a 4-year captain. The other has the most starts in program history with just one more than our sister. And you're also saying goodbye to Hannah Morris and Paige Richborg, who are prolific stat players as well. Hannah Morris, the 11th 100 goal scorer in program history, and Richborg, 9th all time in program draw controls. So it would be fantastic, and you get to play at the bigger stadium on the ACC network, linear channel. It would be great for them to get out on a really high note and enter the ACC tournament with some momentum. So yeah, it's a tough game, but Louisville has played really well this season and come up just short against some really good teams in tough games. So hopefully they can make it happen.
And there have been some heartbreaking losses for the Cards this year in lacrosse for sure. But you mentioned the 7 that are going to be honored today. Plus they'll be honoring the student assistant coach and a couple of managers. I think in there, the Blaylock sisters first to come to mind here, Jeff. Basically the face of the program. They've been there the whole time with Teeter, and certainly 2 players, one on offense, one on defense, and meant so much to Louisville lacrosse over their 5 years on campus. Also, Hannah Morris suiting up for the last time. Prolific scorer for the Cards over this year and part of last year. Paige Richborg, another one who's a very good scorer as well for Louisville on the offensive set. Then a couple we don't hear about so much in Kirsten Parker. We've also got Abby Rosovich and then junior Kristen Peluzia. So, Jeff, this is a good group. Certainly, we'll hate to see them go, but as Teeter will tell you, you can't keep them forever. Eventually, you've got to continue to build and bring in replacements.
Yeah, and it's going to be a bummer to see the Blaylock sisters go. It's always kind of fun to have when you have twins on a team, just the interactions you end up with and seeing how they compare and contrast to each other playing. So, it's going to be a bummer to see them leave. But they're, like you said, those are kind of the two prominent ones on this squad this year. But we've got a lot coming back. It's going to be exciting. And, we wish them well in their future endeavors. Like, the NCAA, they always, the advertisement, 99% go pro in something other than sports, right? I don't know if that's the case here. I don't know what their next steps are, but, there's not a whole lot of professional lacrosse being played around. So, in their next steps, we're going to wish them well.
Certainly do, and whatever they endeavor to take on, I'm sure they'll be quite good at it. Certainly, and they've learned a lot, obviously, from being able to be a student athlete and not only participate in D1 sports, but get their degree. And that degree is so important as well. So we certainly wish them the best of luck in what happens there, and then hope that Louisville lacrosse can get out of this thing with a win today and have a little momentum, as Case mentioned, going in to the ACC tournament, because when you talk about ACC women's lacrosse, you are talking about some very, very strong programs indeed, sir. Very, very strong programs. So, also going on for spring sports today, albeit not on the Belknap campus, but down in Blacksburg, Virginia, a city which is so difficult to reach. If you've ever been to Blacksburg, it only feels like you've been traveling 2 days, but you will eventually show up there. The Cards go down there, and I don't know how much I want to talk about last night. So close but no cigar for Louisville against the third-ranked Hokies as they battled back into this thing, and then all of a sudden, a boom play at the plate, and Louisville loses Case. So it was a very disappointing game at the end there.
Yeah, and I wrote about it a little bit going into that last decision to send Janisha around third. It's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. If that was the go-ahead run that you're sending around third, and Louisville had already tied it up, and you're saying, no, we should bring in Taylor Roby with the bases loaded, 2 outs, and see if she can score the go-ahead run before giving Virginia Tech the opportunity to win themselves, then it's a completely different conversation. But, Roby was not having a great day at the plate. We talked about how asking her to do more in the circle is going to have an impact on her play at the plate, or both, or something. And she was just not able to really make hay yesterday. And so you try to send Serby, you see what happens. Trying to get a 4th straight hit off of Rochard after the game she was having yesterday was going to be tough. So you take your opportunities where you can get them. But yeah, just couldn't get that tying run in. And pretty much every time they were able to look like they were going to have momentum and get back in a way that would prevent Virginia Tech from running away with it, Rochard would shut them down frequently. So I have to imagine she would have tightened the belt once more when Roby came to the plate.
Yeah, Obi was, I think, go with 0 for 3 if she would have got a chance to get to the plate, but a couple of strikeouts involved there. But just a 7th inning, which I didn't think was going to happen, because the Cards basically had 2 outs on the bat at the top of the 7th, and boom, first 2 batters up. A couple pop outs, and all of a sudden, boom, you got 2 down. But down to their last out, they did rally well. They dug in and they said, we're not ready to go home just yet. Alexander get in a single, and of course Jenna Server get in a single. And then what can you say about Carmen Greenwood? I mean, she's just an incredible ball player. Getting up there and just banging one to get Alexander home. Servi only getting the second on the play, but Corbiotis, 2 outs on me. Do I feel any pressure on me? No, I don't. I'm going to send one down the left field line too. The question is, Holly April usually coaches third base when the team's at bat. Was it Holly's call to send her home? Or did Jenna just decide, I'm going to go do this and see if I can tie this thing up? I haven't seen a statement either way on it. I did see a picture of the final out, though, that Virginia Tech proudly put up on their Twitter account. It wasn't close, gang. This wasn't the split decision, and where Holly could have run down and argued the point at all because, no, she was out by a good amount. But that's the way it goes in softball. Sometimes you take chances like that. And so the Cards will try to bounce back today. See if they can even the series up down there. I guess the big question is you probably don't throw Roby again unless you absolutely have to. So where do they go here, Jeff? What's going to – we've seen Sam Boo.
I was going to say, I've been impressed with Sam Boo's last couple of outings in general. I haven't been able to follow all the games as much as I sometimes have in years past and missed some, but certainly what I've seen of her as the year has gone on, as the season has gone on, she's progressed a lot as a pitcher and it's starting to do some good stuff. Came in, and again, I don't remember which game it was, that she came in relief of Taylor Roby, where Taylor was not having any success. I think it may have been the Kentucky game. And Sam Boo came in and saw some success. I mean, didn't completely shut down the Cats, but slowed them way down and changed the complexion of the UK offense in a way that Roby wasn't able to accomplish. So I've been impressed with her. I think she's kind of like second on the pitching list right now with Teitelfelder and the next one in line behind that.
Yeah, she got the start in the second game against Syracuse. Didn't get the decision because Louisville didn't take the lead until Felder came in for her in the fourth inning. So I don't know. Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting. I could see it going either way as far as who's going to start, Boo or Felder. And I think it may play out just like the Syracuse game does, except for Virginia Tech is much better. So it may not be a tie game or one-run game when they make the swap, but I could easily see they're both kind of bullpen arms. They're working to get to starter level innings. I could see either one of them get the start and kind of pitch half the game the same way that it was against Syracuse.
Yeah, definitely so there. So we wish them the best of luck trying to even this series up. Let's hope whoever it is on the circle for the Cards can get a good one going on. I did want to mention just real quickly too, the rowing is also getting ready to go into day 2, as Case mentioned, in the Lake Wheeler Invitational, and going up against some very, very strong programs down there. If you take a look at some of the schools that are taking place in this down there, North Carolina, Miami, Bucknell, Virginia, Clemson, Navy, Oklahoma.
Navy has a good rowing team.
Yeah,
good at something with boats.
Yeah.
How do you figure that?
I'm gonna need some receipts for that one, Paul. I don't know about that.
Absolutely. So I guess I'll probably have to. Yeah, as a commander.
They need to check those shells, make sure there's not a nuclear reactor in there in one of them.
I'm thinking you got a couple seals in there.
Yeah,
I figured out how their ballasts need to go everywhere. They know the way.
They've got that underwater propulsion. The Navy wins everything. Just back out. But yeah,
688 sub underneath pushing them along.
We're saying this. It's funny because they only had 2 wins in the events yesterday. The same number as Louisville.
Yeah.
As the Cards did actually get a couple wins yesterday, and a couple of nice finishes as well in varsity 4 and varsity 8.
Seen a couple
Clemson.
of events where the Cards have put some boats up in some really good positions, so it's getting there.
Certainly one, obviously when and the only school that I didn't see down there, which is usually one of the better ones taking place in rowing in ACC, is Virginia. I didn't see any mention of them being there, but North Carolina is certainly a strong program. The Clemson program has really come on over the last couple of years and become a very strong program as well. Duke down there as well from the ACC, North Carolina as well. So certainly wish them the best of luck today in day 2 for rowing as they get ready to take on some of the best. And rowing's always been a fun sport for me to watch on TV before, because you've got the start, you got the closeness, and you've got it's just cool to watch. I kind of like rowing, but let's hope that they can do well. I hope that they do very well, and certainly I hope that they can. I didn't see an overall standing on where they actually stood after day 1. So if one of you guys have got that, you can kind of help fill me in there a little bit on that, maybe.
Do not have.
I'm not really able to parse the way that they've got these results shown anyway, because they say that Louisville had 4 or 2 wins, but then they list for heats where it looks like they've won 4. So it's not really clear to me how things are going there.
I've always been a bit in askance about how they score rowing as well.
Boats go fast. I think that's the important part.
I think the things make
Go
sure
fast in a straight line.
Stroke at the same time and listen to your coxswain up there. Your coxswain knows what is best for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, and don't get out of your roped area. If you do that, people don't like that. So yeah, let's hope that they can do well down there and have some fun with that. What else do we need to talk about, guys? Is that pretty much got us going here?
I've got a final thought, but I thought you were about to steal it, but you didn't.
Nope, Jeff. I'm gonna, because I've got a final thought that's in a different direction anyway. So we won't. But and then I guess in summing it up a little bit, we've got some other things going on as far as track and field, but certainly we'll keep an eye on the 2 big events today going on for the Cards. So the one that's taking place down in Blacksburg, where the Cards will try to even up the series, and then the one out at Cardinal Stadium, where they'll take on a very talented Notre Dame team to see if they can make some ACC headway and get their second ACC win of the season, guys. Let's hope that they can pull that off. But all right, that being said, certainly I think it's time maybe to segue into some final thoughts here. So, Jeff, if I didn't steal it, it's all yours.
Yeah, I got one ready. Kind of sticking with rowing, actually. Derek Copeland, head coach, rowing team, got signed his contract extension, so he'll be with us for a few more years at least. And of course, Paul, you and I have had the opportunity to talk to him a couple of times. Always a delight to talk to. And as we talked about, continuing to kind of improve this program over time and developing a reputation there. So congratulations to him. Thank you for being a great coach and keep doing what you're doing.
Certainly, indeed, on Derek. Just a great guy to talk to begin with. And also found out through a couple years ago, he's a very good friend of the Dayton rowing coach up there, where a good friend of mine's daughter rowed for 4 years, and was asking him some stories about Dayton. And he said, the first thing you got to consider about Dayton is we're not exactly known for rowing. So
yeah,
we have these rowing machines, and a lot of times we couldn't even get on them because the basketball players were using them for conditioning. So that just gives you an idea of how important rowing was up there.
Yeah.
But
so he got his contract extended through. I was just double checking 2024-2025 season. So at least 3 more seasons with us. So good news.
Absolutely so. He keeps the rowing program competitive, and we're certainly happy that he's going to hang around for a little while and keep doing some good things for us.
Yep.
All right, Case, what you got for me?
It turns out I was actually going to steal Jeff's idea talking about that coaching, but completely on accident. I'm very intrigued as to where the Louisville Athletic Department is going at large, as we still are awaiting any kind of news about a permanent athletic director. But in the meantime, this week was extremely, staff heavy. I don't know if there was I don't know if there's some, financial year end thing that made it happen, but you had Copeland's contract extension, you had basketball
Announcing
promoting
coaches,
JP
yeah.
and announcing coaches, football increased their coaching staff. John Michael Hayden signed a
Yeah.
contract extension.
There's a bunch.
Notre Dame hired away a swimming coach. It's like a bunch of athletic department decisions, with still no permanent head for that department. So very interesting. Very intrigued to see where that goes. So my final thought is just that, I'm still looking forward to continuing success for all of the Louisville programs that, Louisville was not even really a state school in the 90s, kind of a city school. And, basketball was the bread and butter sport. Football kind of tried to make some noise after George was hired, and he really developed all the other programs. And so they continue to develop. And I think that the University of Louisville is better not because of two flagship sports, but because all of the athletic programs are, succeeding and exciting and bringing in crowds and giving people something to do in what used to be a commuter school.
Absolutely so on that, as the campus has got a far and wide outreach in this community and working with the citizens here in Louisville and such. As far as final thoughts on my side, just a happy birthday wish out there. Not only is it senior day for Carolyn and Sarah Blaylock, it's their birthday today as well. So certainly double your pleasure, double your fun. Have a double birthday out there, and maybe they'll both get in double-digit scoring today. Wouldn't that be fun for Louisville lacrosse? Especially out of Sarah.
Sarah, the defender.
Yeah, it's the defender. Yeah.
Nope, I'm feeling it. Get out of my way. I'm taking it all the way down. So best of luck to them. Happy birthday to you two. You've been such a joy to cover and interview and watch over the past couple of years. And I know that when you graduate and move on to other things, you all will be successful. And just pleased that I got to know y'all. I'll put it that way. So that'll do it for us. Another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast in the books now, and certainly hope that everybody has a great, safe weekend. Remember the 3 words we mentioned earlier. Case, do you remember those 3 words we mentioned earlier about Thunder a Day?
Sunscreen, hydrate, and I don't remember what the third one was. Unless sunscreen was 2 words.
Or repeated.
You can spell it either way.
Yeah.
Patience, my friend.
Patience, right.
Be a kind driver, not a butthead.
None of them have that at 10:30 p.m.
Oh.
After a day on the river, yeah.
Especially when they forgot the hydrate and the sunscreen. Then
Right.
They definitely don't have the patience at the end.
They may end up being patients if they're not patient.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. And at least in case you know something I don't, we'll see you next week here on the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast. Have a great weekend.